there weren't these funded campaigns against Israel. It's a typical case of when you point the finger, you have four pointing back at you. He's hiring influencers, but he's saying anyone who is against his cause is a paid shill. Watch.
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, we talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're movies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. The most important purchase that is going on right now is class?
Followers.
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. Exactly. Very good. And, you know,
okay.
we have to talk.
So
TikTok,
clearly,
we got TikTok.
Yeah.
And now we need X.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they have it, like I said, because my For You feed is chock full of pro-Zionists that I've never seen before, that I've never interacted with, that I don't know.
All right, all praise to our Heavenly Father, the Most High Yah, name of our Lord and Savior. Some of y'all call him Yahushua, some of y'all call him Yahweh, some of y'all call him Jesus. All right, coming off of our, you know what I'm saying, you know, our Day of Atonement, you know what I mean, observance, you know what I mean, hopefully everybody, you know, you made your prayers or whatever, those of you participated, thank you, you know, and if you wasn't able to participate, you know, the Most High still bless you as well, right? But I just appreciate each and every one of you. But as y'all can see, right, Benjamin Netanyahu, he gets on here and he just spills the beans. Right? He comes right here and he just tells everything. You know, the bottom line is now you can see they're looking at these Christian, you know what I'm saying, evangelicals and call the Christian rights. And he talked about these people over here, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, you see to them, the left or right don't even matter. You know what I'm saying? The bottom line is who's going to support Israel, right? And so he gets caught and he's on here saying that, you know what, we got to do something about, you know what I mean, these people are influenced on social media, you know what I mean? Because, you know, their propaganda ain't working. All right, so y'all know we talked about that, you know, that Hezbollah down there at the HBCUs, you know what I'm saying? And how they bringing these influencers over here, you know, to start trouble, you know what I mean? But now it's starting to make sense why you got all these BCZs, these Black Christian Zionists, who wouldn't say anything about Israel, but was coming out against the Hebrew Israelites. Now we have to really start wondering, were y'all being paid to do that? You see? So here's, you know, what's going on, you know, and here's the real kicker of it all. All of that stuff they was talking about TikTok in China. And now we can see, because TikTok and the youth were basically finding out more and more about the Zionist state of Israel, they have to try to do what they always do, take control of social media, because they're used to having control of the media, and that way they can push the narratives how they want to. Now, here it is. You are a leader of a foreign country trying to come into the United States of America. And here it is, the government is welcoming you with open arms, and you're blatantly talking about taking over the media so you can influence American citizens. What country on this earth would allow for another country to come in and do that? So you see, this country ain't nothing but a little Zionist, you know what I'm saying, military faction. That's all they are. And they use the United States. That's why half of them stay over here and they just go, they got dual citizenship. But you see, this country is run by the Zionists, right? So here he is on here blatantly running off at his mouth, blatantly told everything, and blatantly said, we got to take over TikTok. And after that, we want to take over X, which was formerly known as Twitter, right? So here it is, these people, because if we can't get in here and influence people by just, getting some people to push propaganda or whatever, nobody still want to listen, take it over. And then that way we'll start kicking people off and all this type of stuff. And then we'll really push our propaganda. So now, you know what I'm saying? We got children that's on that TikTok. You tell them they need to watch this video, right? Because they better be careful what you're putting on TikTok, because now these people are going to be in here monitoring it. And let me show y'all next about who took over TikTok. Okay, so we're going to go to Jimmy Dore's show, and I'm going to show you some clips from him. Check it out.
So there's been a takeover of TikTok, and the reason why they took it over is because of Israel, right? So they always said, we were afraid of China getting our data. We're afraid of China, a foreign government running this. That was never, it was always because the people on TikTok were turning against Israel because they were seeing what was happening. And so they had to, so again, as all authoritarians do, they try to control the narrative, and it got away from them. So they forced a sale of TikTok to a Zionist, right? Larry Ellison. So, but how do I know all this? Well, because the CEO of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which is a defamation league on behalf of Zionists, right? So what the ADL actually, they're not actually anti-defamation. They defame lots of people who tell the truth about Israel and Zionism. And the head of it revealed in an undercover recording that he was afraid they were losing the youth, and the left and the right youth are coming together. So we got to do something about it. So here it is. Let's listen.
All right. So y'all see. Now, before I let y'all hear this clip that he's getting ready to play, right? Remember, what did he just say? They were losing the narrative. And the youth, right? They're losing the narrative with the youth, with the young people. When it was about the left and the right. When you talk to left and the right, you're talking about your Democrats, your Republicans, right? See, that's why, you only get these two-party systems where they either put you on this side or they put you on that side. And then you got Jewish influencers on the left, you got Jewish influencers on the right, right? And so the bottom line is that's how they've kept America divided. That's why they keep you playing these politics. You know what I mean? That's why they keep, white American Christians into, I support Israel. You know what I'm saying? We're Christian. You know what I'm saying? And this is how they got the white church over here. But then they got the black church over here with civil rights and all this type of stuff with the Democrats. You see? So now if you step out across those lines, then your own people, got a problem with you. But you see, this is the thing that they're having a problem, because now the youth of all people are figuring it out. And they just saying, you know what? Them going over there killing people and doing all that stuff is not right. I don't care who it is, whatever. No, And so now they got a problem with the young people finding out they're not the real Jews. They're not the real people. You know what I'm saying? And they over there killing and hurting people and murdering people and starving people. And the youth ain't having it. So now what do? They got to go in and start strategizing and plotting to take over TikTok, right? So now let y'all hear this next clip that he about ready to play.
Support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. piece. They flipped like this and went to like Iranian propaganda. The language I could show you from their toolkits, because are in their groups. We saw this again on October the 8th. It was that fast. Like the language in their toolkits, all about the Zionist entity and the language that we recognized from Iranian propaganda.
So there he is saying the real problem is TikTok. And the problem isn't a left-right divide, which is a problem for the Zionists because they need to have a left-right divide. But the left and right have come together, and that's why they have to control the narrative and split people up. So do you understand what we've been saying at this show forever is the establishments, their modus operandi is always to divide and conquer. So just as they used Charlie Kirk's assassination to try to blame it on a lefty so we could have a left-right divide again, and so that's good for Israel.
All right. So now, did y'all hear what he said about the useful idiots in the West? Useful idiots? You see what I'm saying? You see how these people think so highly of themselves, and they know they just be playing people against each other, right? And it's like, yeah, usually we got them on this left-right stuff, but this ain't working with the young people. So now we got another issue. And this is why, you know what I mean, for any of you who have children or youth, you got to put them, you got to tell them, you got to let them know. See, they expecting for us to sooner or later pass on out of here, right? Just like when it was the generation before us, right? So, you know what I mean? Then they start coming at us with all this, propaganda and all these different type of things. You know what I mean? Put it in the hip hop music and all this type of stuff. Well, now, you know what I mean? It's like they're waiting for us to kick on out of here. And they're going after the youth because they see there's a youth movement that's like, no, we don't support that. Because you know what happened in America? They brought everybody together with integration. So now these young people, they don't see racism like everybody else does, right? So the bottom line is a lot of young people, they're friends with people from all different nationalities because that's what was hammered to them. So now all they see is human suffering at the hands of these people. And it's like, that's not right, right? Because they have been taught to be moral, with their neighbors. You see what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden, they're seeing all this stuff on TV, and then they got a voice through, their social media, which is TikTok, right? That's what a lot of the young people are there on there. So now what did they say? Oh, it's because TikTok and whatever, and we can't influence whatever. And we're going to have a problem with this younger generation start going to the polls, right? They can't control them anymore. So now you see how propaganda works, right? Now you see how, they will come after your youth and start kicking them off TikTok and all this type of stuff, or, running little mind games at them and all this. And this is why they're now trying to get these influencers and all this stuff, which, that's part of what, everybody is now really aware of because of the Charlie Kirk situation. So you see, they have really dug themselves in a hole. They have really put themselves behind the 8 ball with this garbage that they keep doing, because now everything that they're doing, the Most High is yanking the cover off of them. Every single thing that they do just keeps blowing up in their face, right? So let's go back to, to the clips, and I want y'all to hear some more, and because he's going to talk about Larry Ellison, and I want y'all to see that clip. And then we're going to go in, and I'm going to show you who it is that bought TikTok. We're going to really go in, and we're going to do some little investigation on Mr. Larry Ellison.
Okay, so I just want to show you. So that's why this TikTok is happening. And here is the press secretary, and here's what she said.
Under the terms of this deal, TikTok will be owned by a majority of American investors and controlled by a board of directors with extensive national security and cybersecurity credentials. In partnership with the U.S. government, Oracle will serve as TikTok's trusted security provider, and they will independently monitor the safety and data security of all U.S. user data on TikTok's platform. Americans' data will be stored securely in the United States without access from China. All U.S. user data will be stored on servers operated by Oracle in the United States, protected from surveillance or interference by foreign adversaries. And the algorithm, I know this is a question many of you have had, will be secured, retrained, and operated in the United States outside of ByteDance's control. And TikTok will remain globally interoperable, meaning TikTok users in the U.S. will be able to see videos posted by users in other countries and vice versa. While I don't have a number on the specific deal, we do expect that thanks to the president's leadership and the securement of this historic deal, businesses using TikTok will generate as much as $178 billion in economic activity within the U.S. over the next 4 years. So this is great news, not just for the millions of American youth who use TikTok. Their data will be safe and secure with this new deal. They'll continue to use this very fun app. But it's also great news for all of the small business owners who have really been able to make a living off of the use of TikTok as well.
So Oracle is a Zionist organization. In case you don't know, it's run by Zionists for Zionists, and you're not allowed to be anti-Zionist and work for Oracle. You're not allowed to vocally. You can work for Microsoft and be anti-Zionist, but you can't work for Oracle. And they're talking about how he's going to keep your data safe. Oracle quietly admits data breach days after lawsuit accused it of a cover-up. That's from April 3rd of this year. So Oracle has finally admitted to suffering a significant data breach, quietly notifying select customers about the security incident. So your data's not, this isn't about data being safe from China. Your data's not safe.
All right. So y'all see how they lie. You see what I'm saying? And you see how the White House is even involved in this, right? Because she sat up here and made it look like, oh, it's just American, people who's going to take over TikTok now from China. And that way China won't be able to. And that's why that whole China stuff was garbage anyway, right? They just couldn't control the narrative. So they basically forced them, used the laws, the government to threaten them and every daggone thing else. And that's why you see Trump is just as much a part of this, because he was in there running his mouth about, about TikTok too. So the bottom line is, they was pushing this narrative so they can go in, and now the Zionists have bought this up. And this is important for your young people that use TikTok, right? Because now all your data, the things you're looking up, all this type of stuff, they're going to be watching it. It's controlled by the Zionist synagogue of Satan, right? So this is why you have to tell your youth what's going on, okay? So now you see this is bigger than just, there's China and TikTok and all this type of stuff. No, they need this now because they could not control the narrative, and they want to affect the youth of America, right? With Zionist propaganda. And they're going to be watching the young people, because now you see they be tracking all this stuff. They're going to be watching the young people. They're going to be collecting data and all these type of things. So your young people need to understand. You are building a profile when you get on here, and they're going to be watching you. And if you got a following, if you start bringing more and more people to your channel, they're going to try to come in and influence you. You know what I mean? And if you don't comply, they're going to kick you off. Probably run all kinds of smear campaigns on you and every daggone things else. And if you do comply, I'm going to show you later. Technically, they got you breaking the law if you taking money from a foreign country. We'll get into that later. But now he's going to talk about Larry Ellison now in this clip. So y'all check this out.
So your data, by the way, is now being harvested and controlled by Israel, a Zionist organization called Oracle, led by this guy, Larry. Well, so let's get to it. So here's what Glenn Greenwald said. Yes, we know that TikTok's algorithm will be retrained by Larry Ellison and his son, who donated millions and millions directly to the foreign military, which they are loyal. That's the American investors, are these two crazy Zionists who donate millions of dollars to the IDF. That was the whole point of the forced sale. The whole point of this sale was not to make it safer for young people in America to use TikTok. It wasn't to make it so your data would be safe. The whole point of this was to control the narrative and be at the behest of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Zionists. And so they can control the narrative around the slaughter of the people in Israel.
All right. So next we go to Wikipedia and we look up Mr. Larry Ellison. And let's see exactly who he is, right? Because they tell us he's basically an American investor, but we already know, you know what I'm saying? He's a Zionist, so we already know, but I'm going to show y'all. So let's go and look it up. Larry Ellison, right? Lawrence Joseph Ellison, born August 17th, 1944, is an American business person and entrepreneur who co-founded the software company Oracle Corporation. He was Oracle's chief executive officer from 1977 to 2014, and is now its chief technology officer and executive chairman. He is a centennial billionaire, right? And the second richest person in the world as of September 2025. On September 10th, 2025, Ellison was briefly the wealthiest person in the world, with an estimated net worth of $393 billion. Ellison is also known for his ownership of 98% of Lanai, the sixth largest island in the Hawaiian Islands. So he basically owned the whole freaking island over there, one of the largest islands over there, right? Sixth largest one. Okay, his early life and education. Ellison was born on August 17, 1944 in the borough of Bronx in New York City to a Jewish mother, Florence Spellman. His biological father was an Italian-American United States Army Air Corps pilot. After Ellison contracted pneumonia at the age of 9 months, his mother gave him to her aunt and uncle for adoption. He did not meet Spellman again until he was 48. Ellison moved with his adoptive parents to Chicago's South Shore, then a primarily Jewish middle-class neighborhood. He remembers his adoptive mother, Lillian Spellman Ellison, as warm and loving. He found his adoptive father, Louis Ellison, to be austere, unsupportive, and often distant, a government employee who had made a small fortune in Chicago real estate, only to lose it during the Great Depression. Louis had chosen his last name to honor Ellis Island, his point of entry into the United States, okay? Ellison was raised in a Reformed Jewish home by his adoptive parents who attended synagogue regularly, but he remained a religious skeptic. At age 13, Ellison refused to have a bar mitzvah celebration. Ellison said, "While I think I am religious in one sense, the particular dogmas of Judaism are not dogmas I subscribe to. I don't believe that they are real. They're interesting stories. They're interesting mythology. And I certainly respect people who believe these are literally true, but I don't." You see that? I see no evidence for this stuff. Ellison says that his fondness for Israel is not connected to religious sentiments, but rather due to Israelis' innovative spirit in the technology sector. All right, so once again, we see another person calling themselves a Jew, who's really not, but is the synagogue of Satan. You're rich. If you were truly children of Israel and you don't believe, you're supposed to be the tail, not the head. You see what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, here we got another one who owns, 98% of an island by himself. And now he's the second richest person in the world, right? But he don't believe, you see? And yet they say that these people are, got their money from the Most High. You know what I'm saying? When he's supposed to be punished, but then he says he don't believe, but yet here you are, want to support these people going down here and taking over a land based off of a myth of what you called it, right? So why would you be supporting anything you don't even believe in it, right? So why are you sitting up here sending money to the IDF and all this type of stuff, right? Because the bottom line is, your own mouth say you don't believe, but yet you don't care about that because you're only interested in going over there and taking people's land and kicking people out. The same way you went over there to Hawaii. You're not from Hawaii. Why are you owning, that island for yourself? Why? You see what I'm saying? You're not from there. That's not your land. Why did you go over there and buy that, right? And now you're going over here in the Middle East trying to buy up the Most High's land. It ain't gonna work for you, pal. You see what I'm saying? Let's go back to the clips.
This is the guy who's taking over Oracle. So this is I think he's now the second richest man in the world. Some say the first. Doesn't matter. He's one of the richest guys in the world. And they have this charity dinner every year in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills. And it's people come, American Jewish people come and donate money to a foreign military, which is the IDF. And here's what he was saying in 2014 at this charity. It happens every year.
What is your connection to Israel?
Well,
so the question is, what is your connection to Israel?
the renewal of the Jewish state is something that I think touches all of us. For 2,000 years, we were a stateless people. And now we have a country of our own, defended by all the brave men and women of the IDF. So anything we can do to support them, who devote their lives for preserving the state of Israel, keeping the people safe, and allowing our state to continue sometimes in very, very difficult situations.
Did you visit Israel?
I have been to Israel. I have been to the border. I have spent time to the people who govern the state of Israel. And I feel a deep emotional connection to the state of Israel and the Israeli people.
You are an high-tech person. What do you think about Israeli startups and high-tech phenomenon?
Oh, well, after Silicon Valley, there's an area, Herzliya has probably got more startups than any other place other than Silicon Valley in Northern California. So we've actually acquired a number of Israeli companies. We have 2 CEOs at Oracle. One's name is Safra Katz, and she was born in Israel. So again, we love the country of Israel, and we'll do everything we can to support the country of Israel.
Recently hear that many people criticizing Israel, especially after the Gaza operation. How do you feel as someone just saying we love Israel so much?
Well, again, it's a difficult situation, isn't it? To conduct military operations around civilians is very difficult, and of course there were tragedies, and the civilians were hurt. That's a terrible thing. But one thing we know for certain, that the Israeli army did everything they could to minimize civilian casualties. In that regard, they've done a much better job than a lot of other armies all over the world throughout history.
Thank you very much.
Now, did y'all see how Jimmy Dore looked up at the camera like that when he started talking about, oh, the Israeli army does everything to, protect civilians, but sometimes whatever? You would think that he just made that speech. But that clip that he showed was in 2014, right? So you see, they was over there bombing people way before Hamas went in there on October 7th, whatever. They were already doing the same thing, and people were already criticizing them back in 2014 for over there killing civilians. You see what I'm saying? But now, you know what I mean? They run back and use the same playbook that he said in 2014 here in 2025, right? And these are the people that they put in charge of TikTok, the biggest liars, the biggest, identity thieves, changing their names and every daggone thing else they can do. You see what I'm saying? To come over here and then deceive people, manipulate people. And if they can't get their way, they buy up everything and then try to, bully you economically and financially. You see what I'm saying? Let's go back to the clip.
So, breaking TikTok U.S. deal finalized. The U.S. app will have its own separate Zionist algorithm. Oracle CEO, Jewish Zionist owner, Silver Lake Zionist organization, and Andreessen Horowitz, Jewish Zionist founder, will control U.S. TikTok. There will be an American and Israel board with U.S. and Israel government oversight. U.S. users will download a new app that looks identical to the current TikTok, but runs entirely on U.S. Israeli-controlled algorithms. This is a tragedy for free speech. This will help ruin the West. You have no idea how bad this is, and I want to show you how bad this guy is. So this is the guy who's buying TikTok. He's the head of Oracle, and because the government made this happen, the Trump's government made this happen. I'm not saying that Biden wouldn't either. I'm saying the government is wholly owned by Zionists. And here's what he says about surveillance. So if you're worried about China's death, listen to what now Israel is going to have this is the surveillance he wants to bring to America.
Police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras. It's AI that's looking at the camera. No. You can't do this. It would be like a shooting. That's going to be an event that's immediately, an alarm is going to go off. It's going to be, and we're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times. And the supervision will, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. If there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop. A drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. and the new generation of autonomous drones.
So he's saying that because we'll be under constant 24-hour surveillance, including the police, that everybody will be on their best behavior. Okay, that sounds way more Orwellian than I could ever imagine. That's Aldous Huxley meets 1984. But what he's really saying is that you will have no place to dissent. And what that just sounds like, we have the perfect tool to enforce conformity. And that's what that is. So
Yeah.
that's that's what they really want. They want no dissent anywhere at any time, and they want to enforce conformity. And that's what I thought MAGA was afraid of China for. I thought that's what MAGA said China does. That they invade your privacy and they enforce conformity and they squash dissent. That's this guy's dream. That's the guy that Trump just engineered to take over TikTok. And if you think they're doing it for data safety, we all know that's not for data safety.
All right. So now do y'all see the game, right? All this crap that they be pulling and saying about China going to do this and China going to do that. All they're doing right now is getting ready to, take full control of the United States of America, because they can't control, the narrative. They can't control people's thinking. And so they try to make it, he sits up here, oh yeah, this way, we can control the police. And if the police, whatever, get rogue, then we can whatever. You always going to try to make it look like it's a good thing. But the truth of the matter is, no, you're just going to make sure that the police stay loyal to you, that the police do your bidding. That's all that is, right? And if anybody dissents against you, you know what I'm saying? Y'all going to have, this AI technology that can make a person look like they saying something or doing something that they ain't even doing anymore. And then you're going to be bringing drones out, flying drones after people's cars and all this type of stuff. Who gives you the authority to do that? Who told you that you was God? Who told you that you get to run around here, you know what I'm saying, and act like you somebody? You 80-some years old, dude. You ain't even going to be here in another 20 years. You see what I'm saying? And yet here you are thinking that you know what I mean, get to put things in place and all this type of stuff, like it's going to be safe for you, like you get to benefit from it. Bro, you about ready to kick bucket. You see what I'm saying? You about ready to taste dirt, dude. You know what I'm saying? You need to go sit down somewhere and leave that to somebody younger. And mind your business and go out there, you know what I'm saying, and plant you a garden or something, right? But this is what we see with these daggone megalomaniacs. You know what I'm saying? All they want to do is try to control stuff. And even though he ain't gonna be here, he want to try to set it up for his next generation of people so they can be just as much as, Orwellian, you know what I mean, and want to be dictators, want to try to play God as everybody, as the rest of them. They've been working on this for hundreds of years, right? And that's why they now know people are waking up, finding out that they now, you know what I'm saying, they've been in control of America. All this stuff that they've been telling people ain't nothing but a bunch of lies, right? And now, you know what I mean, they're getting busted. The Most High is yanking the cover off of them so that everybody will know, you know what I'm saying, what's getting ready to come, you know what I'm saying, is because these people have sold their souls to Satan, right? And just like the Bible tells us, you know what I'm saying, they're going to make war with the saints. This is what's coming, right? So you can better understand this. And like I said, if you got youth in the home, you need to show them this video, right? They need to understand, because they're going to be the ones that's going to be having to deal with this should the Most High not send Yahusha back, you know what I'm saying, in the next 10, 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? It's going to be the youth, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be the ones that's got to deal with these daggone weirdos, you see? But guess what? You think, like we said, we started this out with Netanyahu and the Hezbollah and them paying and whatever. You know what I mean? All that stuff is coming out now. All of it. You know what I'm saying? Let me let y'all see this next clip, you know what I mean, where they talk about them paying Israeli influencers to get on here and try to affect the mind of the youth, okay? Check this out.
But also, it's incredible developments when it comes to the kind of propaganda side. So recently you had Netanyahu meeting with a bunch of influencers. Which, and he said, like, the way that we're going to respond to the problems that Israel's image is facing worldwide is we're going to have our influencers go out there and make the case on TikTok. And he also said the most important thing to do is to purchase TikTok. Like that was his word. And Larry Ellison, a close ally of Israel through Oracle, is indeed doing that. But so incredible discovery, and it's in a FARA filing by Quincy Institute researcher Nick Cleveland Stout and put this C1 up on the screen. New document reveals the Israeli government paying a cohort of 14 to 18 social media influencers between $6,100 and $7,300 per post.
The show is now fully in support of Israel, and our coverage will only be supportive of Israel. $7,000 a post every time we post about it.
All right, so what you see now is this is a post from Nick Cleveland Stout, September 30th, 2025. And he's the one that's got this out here that Israel is paying influencers $7,000 per post. You see that? Netanyahu referred this week to a community pushing out preferred messaging in U.S. media, and boy, are they making a pricely sum. $7,000 per post, right? But for anybody that may think they want that money, you know what I'm saying? It comes with a consequence. I told you I was going to show y'all something in a minute, but let me first show y'all about these influencers, some of them who already took the money. And we did one video already on this Hasbara when we talked about Cam Higbee. Now let me show you this. All right, so I got this off of the redacted broadcast, okay? And they basically got the name of all these influencers now. You see Israel's 8th Front War on Information in America. Pro-Israel influencers have a collective reach of 18 million. And so here are all those people, right? Emily Austin, Jeremy Abramson, Xavier DeRousseau, Ben Soffer, and there he is, Cam Higbee. For those of you who don't know, he's the one that went down there to Tennessee State, setting up that little makeshift, wannabe Charlie Kirk operation, in which he got all of those HBCU students stirred up and try to make it look like he was MAGA. But you see, he's really, Israeli influencer. Okay. But you see, Emily Saves America, Destiny Alberton, CJ Pearson, Lou Holly, Danya Avner, Lizzie Savetsky, Savannah Craven Antau, Deborah Lee Schwartzman, Kristen Wan, Shay Shazbo, That Opinionated Girl, Brooke Goldstein, Liv Lane, Jane Zirkle, Fabian Garcia, Hannah Faulkner, and Emily Talento. Now look at Emily Talento though. She basically only has 4,000 subscribers, you see, but they don't care. So you know what I mean? Anybody could be an influencer, right? And we know how they like to hide their hands when they do anything. But these are the 18 names that people that found out about have been over there, you know what I'm saying? Working with Israel. So next I got this from Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene because she put this out here, right? And basically, this is what I was telling you for all these young people, thinking that you're just making a little bit of a money, from Israel. Oh, I'll do $7,000 a post, but do you not understand? Technically, you're breaking the law, right? And this is what she put out there and told people, right? All social media influencers being paid by the Israeli government or any foreign government to promote a foreign country and a foreign country's interest must register under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, under the DOJ, Department of Justice. So you see, you've been taking their money and you didn't do that. They already set you up, basically. And they can then come at you, use the FBI, because they still control the FBI and everybody else. So if you taking money from the Israeli government, that's why they're giving you 7,000. You're like, oh, I'm gonna take this. But you are already breaking the law, because if you're not registered under the Foreign Agency Registry Act, now they can turn around and send, they can send the FBI on you, and then get you for, being a foreign agent in the country, right? And they could throw you in jail. So now once they got you into that trap, what you think you're gonna do? You are a straight puppet, because then they tell you, you're gonna say this, you're gonna do this, and if not, we're gonna throw your butt, in Guantanamo Bay, right? But this is what it says. Foreign governments routinely engage in efforts to influence our domestic and foreign policies, legislation, democratic processes, and public opinion. These governments sometimes exert this influence by employing lobbyists, public relations professionals, prominent business people or former U.S. government officials on their behalf. Such efforts are legal if they are transparent. Originally enacted in 1938, the Foreign Agents Registration Act, known as FARA, helped the American people and their elected officials understand who is really behind such influence activity. The statute requires persons working on behalf of foreign governments or other foreign principals, including Americans, to disclose their relationship to foreign principals and information about their activities. Agents who fail to register are violating federal law, and they can be prosecuted if their failure is deliberate. Saying this is not anti-Semitic or hateful to any people group or foreign country, right? So it's what they say, it's the law. That's what she says. It's the law, right? So this ain't about being anti-Semitic. This is about you legally are breaking the law if you are taking money on behalf of a foreign country, which is what I said in that HBCU video with them guys doing it. You can't do that. That's illegal, right? But here's the law. Let me show you. Okay, so I screenshotted this. I think I got this off of X2. Okay, so now you can see about the law. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this, about the FARA. Okay. All right, FARA, government efforts to influence policy in the public. Foreign governments routinely engage in efforts to influence our domestic and foreign policies. Okay, so we already pretty much read that. Let's drop down to this next paragraph where it says, originally enacted in 1938, the Foreign Agents Registration Act, known as FARA, helps the American people and their elected officials understand who is really behind such influence activity. The statute requires persons working on behalf of foreign governments or other foreign principals, including Americans, to disclose their relationship to foreign principals and information about their activities. Agents who fail to register are violating federal law, and they can be prosecuted if their failure is deliberate. So you see that? How FARA works. The Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA unit, which is part of the U.S. Department of Justice National Security Division, right? So you see, they got that to make sure that you don't have foreign countries coming over here and using American citizens, to influence American, support or American, dissension, right? So this is why, you got to register, right? So anyway, agents who register must disclose their agreements with foreign principals, report the amounts and sources of funding they have received, and provide a log of all activities they have performed on behalf of foreign principals. Agents must also label informational materials they disseminate to disclose their agency relationship and file copies of those materials with the unit. FARA's definition of foreign principals includes foreign governments, political parties, corporations, individuals, and non-governmental organizations. Right? It defines agents as those who act at the request or under the direction, control, or order of a foreign principal. FARA requires an agent of a foreign principal to register when engaging in political activities or those designed to influence the U.S. government or public regarding domestic or foreign policy. So you see why they're doing all this stuff? Because the bottom line is that they go out here and start a war with Iran and all this type of stuff, and you take money to do some posts on their behalf, you are now basically breaking the law, right? So taking part in perception management efforts or acting as a public relations counsel, publicity agent, or information service employee, performing fundraising or disbursements of funds, or lobbying Congress or the executive branch. FARA includes exemptions for certain agents who register with the Secretary of the Senate and the Clerk of the House of Representatives under the Lobbying Disclosure Act and are therefore permitted to lobby the legislative or executive branches. However, this exemption is not available to agents of foreign governments or foreign political parties, or when a foreign government or foreign political party is the principal beneficiary of the lobbying activities. Covert foreign influence campaigns often run afoul of this provision. Read FARA at 22 USC 611 and whatever, and then it says the rest of it at www.fara.gov. All right, so now do y'all see how deceptive that is? Do you see how now they can go in here, now that they got a hold of TikTok, and they can approach, a minor, or just a young person in general. It don't have to be a minor, let's say, but they can approach, anybody who's an influencer, they can approach you and say, oh, well, we'll give you $7,000 if you just make this post. And these people were just thinking, oh, okay, well, you want to give me $7,000? Okay, I'll say that Israel, you know what I mean, just whatever. Now, after you've done that, you see, here they come in, FBI, you know what I mean, saying, listen, you have put that post out here, and the bottom line is you're working on behalf, you received that $7,000, right, from, you know, an Israeli donor or something like that, some lobbying group, or, you know, somebody that, you know what I'm saying, is associated with Israel. And guess what? They're going to now run down on you and say, we got you violating the law. You see what I'm saying? And they can really throw you in jail. Now they try to cut you a deal and tell you, listen, all right, you're going to work for us. We want you to go do this and do that. You think these young people ain't going to roll over? You see what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden start working with them, right? So you see, you know what I mean, how they put a honey trap out there for people. This is what I'm telling you. These people are wicked. They're deceptive. They're deceivers, right? And these young people ain't got a clue about none of this stuff, right? And this is the kind of crap that they pull so that they can keep trying to pull the wool over everybody else's eyes, right? And now they're targeting the youth. Remember, at first, they was talking all this stuff about the young black people, you know what I'm saying? The young black, you know what I mean, community. We got a problem with them. Now they got a problem with the youth as a whole in America, right? But see, people didn't take no thought on it when they was, you know, targeting the young black, you know, community. But then what did we see? Shortly after that, we seen all of these young black people, you know what I mean? And all these, you know, debunking the Hebrew Israelite stuff start popping up. So now when we start looking at these black Christian Zionists, right? And I'm going to do another video on Corey Minor, right? Because he just now came out and he's switching up scripture, doing all kinds of crap. But anyway, I'll get him, you know, probably in the next video. But anyway, the bottom line is, you see, if they started doing that, if that's what they were doing while we had all this stuff popping up, oh, I denounced the Hebrew Israelites, I start whatever, If any of those, you know, people on social media took money from an Israeli government, you know what I'm saying, pushing their propaganda or whatever, they can run down on them and then say, you know what, you violated the law. Now they can come, it won't be the Israeli government, it'll be the United States government that'll come in on them and then run in on you. And basically, because you see, that's how they work together, right? You took the money from them, but you violated our law. And in violating our law, we can come in and now we can throw you in jail, unless you're going to roll over and work for us. You do what we tell you to do. You see, this is how deceptive they are, right? And so now you sit there and you think they're doing that to influencers, they're doing it to politicians. But now let me show you, they do this to the preachers as well, because you see the preachers standing on behalf of Israel. Why would you be standing on behalf of a country that denies that Jesus is Lord, right? And you say you a Christian. No, you are a Zionist shield. That's who you are, right? Let me show y'all this next clip and then we'll get out of here.
More than 200 evangelical leaders organized by the Family Research Council recently signed a letter to President Trump about Israel's sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. FRC's president, Tony Perkins, joins us now. Tony, welcome. So tell us about this letter, Tony, and what you said to the president in it.
Well, Jenna, it goes back to the issue of Judea and Samaria, which is called by many the West Bank. This is the heartland of Israel. 80% of what we read about in our Bibles took place there in Judea and Samaria. And it's been the topic of the quote-unquote two-state solution going back 70 years. And so what we communicated, based upon some of the president's statements last week at the UN, was that we support the president. He's done so much for Israel. We applauded him on that, but warned that there's danger when we move in opposite direction of what the Word of God says as it pertains to the nation of Israel. Now, we don't know God's timetable, but we do know that that land is going to be restored to Israel. It has been in part, and that's the policy that the U.S. should have. Anytime we contradict that, going back to 2005 with the Gaza withdrawal, or even in the peace plan in 2020 that called for a two-state solution, there's been consequences even for our country.
Yeah. Tony, do you know if how the letter might have been received, and also kind of the people who are around the president, do they see it in the same terms as you do?
I think many do, and I think the president does for the most part. And as we noted that in the conversation with the Prime Minister of Israel and President Trump and their press conference, the issue of sovereignty or limiting the ability of Israel to declare sovereignty was not on the table. So that was a good sign that that was not overtly discussed in that meeting. And so Israel will be free to continue to annex areas that are strategic for their security, safety, and I would also add their identity as a people.
Yeah.
So you see, you can't make this stuff up. Here you got some so-called pastors is talking about Israel has the right to go in here and take Palestinian land, right? And these people don't even accept Christ. And yet you, supposed to be a pastor, supposed to be a Christian, are giving the okay, saying it's okay for them to go in and annex that land for their security. What God's supposed to be their security? What are you talking about, right? But you see, they're colonialists. They go in, they colonize, they steal people's land. You think about it. When they came over here to America, what did they do? They used Christianity, as a way to come in and say, oh, we're basically making disciples of the heathens, right? When they're the heathens, right? So you come over here and use Christianity as an excuse to take people's land. That's what you did. Well, now you're doing the exact same thing, but y'all using Judaism and y'all using a stolen identity, right? To go down here and say, oh, God is restoring Israel back, to their land, to their promised land. He's regathering them from all the places. So they try to use scripture, right, to justify them going in here, colonizing people. You know what I'm saying? Taking people's lands, right? But see, this is where you messed up, because y'all done came in here and y'all done went down into this land that the Most High is in charge of. And now he's exposing y'all for the devils that you are, you see? But instead of them worrying about trying to get Israel this land back, you need to be telling the saints how these Luciferians are getting ready to wage war on them. You see what I'm saying? Because this is what this is. Now you're waging war on the saints, right? Let me go to scripture. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. All right, let's pick this up. Daniel chapter 7, verses 15 through 28. And this is what Daniel said concerning, how the order of this world has to go until the final kingdom is established, right? Daniel 7, verse 15 through 28. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Okay, so at the end, we win. That's why we ain't got nothing to be afraid of, right? We ain't got nothing to be worried about, because at the end, we win. But then this is what it says, verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others. Now we know that it's a kingdom, right? Exceedingly dreadful, and whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until. You see that? So the bottom line is this final kingdom is going to make war with the people of the Most High and prevail against them until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms. So it'll be different than any other kingdom that has been on earth, and shall devour the whole earth. So that's the difference. You know what I mean? There's never been a worldwide kingdom in which all of the earth was underneath one rule, right? But this is what it says. It shall devour the whole earth and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be in some type of regional thing. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Okay. And he shall speak great words against the Most High. So this is going to be the son of perdition, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws. Right. And we see they've already been changing calendars and everything, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. Right? Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Now let's go to Revelation chapter 13. All right, so what did we just get out of out of Daniel 7? We saw that, there's going to come a kingdom that's going to devour the whole earth, right? Now we're going to get, and then there's going to be a ruler that comes out of that kingdom, okay? And he's going to speak great blasphemies against the Most High. When we go to Revelation 13, we'll see the same thing. And I stood upon the sand of the sea. Now, this is John, the Apostle John, the Revelator. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So you see the 10 horns again. Remember, it's got to break it up into 10 different kings, right? 10 kings going to have their little authority. And upon his horns, 10 crowns, and upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power. Well, we see in Revelation 12 that the dragon is that old serpent, which is Satan. Okay, so this final kingdom will be a Luciferian run kingdom. They getting their power from the devil, right? That's why they're working deceitfully and wildly and everything. Okay, but this is what it says. Okay, the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So you see why these people want to basically be able to control everything, right? Verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. So we've seen what it said, in Daniel about there being great blasphemy stuff going on. So now we're beginning to understand this, right? These people don't even believe in God, and they don't accept Christ, right? Verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. So we see the same thing that we've seen in Daniel 7, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Because see, it has to go global. Right? It's got to be a one world kingdom. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So you see, the Father already knows whose is his, and he's going to pour out his spirit on who is his. But everybody else, you're going to worship this beast, right? You're going to worship, this satanic kingdom, right? And that's what it says, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity, right? So you working on behalf of these people, shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So this is going to be this person that's going to come in on this peace platform, right? Because he's going to act like he's a lamb, like he's a peaceful guy, but he's going to be speaking great blasphemies against the Most High, right? So he speaks like a dragon, like a devil, okay? And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Now, could that be war? Could that be them dropping bombs and stuff on people? Right? And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Like I told y'all before, is this now this AI system, right? Where now they're getting everybody, conditioned to AI to the point it don't look like it's one person. It looks like it's artificial intelligence that's running everything. Okay. So could that be what we're getting ready to see? Verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Well, what did we just see Larry Ellison say? That, they have drones and stuff to follow you, right? You come out, whatever, they're going to have a drone that'll be following you, as if you some type of criminal. So we see the type of system that they want to set up, right? Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Well, you see what that Shermer or whatever the dude over in UK is just did with the digital IDs, right? And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So we know eventually, just like what they always do, they try to bully you financially. So the bottom line is, it's like, if you don't take this mark, you're not going to be able to participate in the economy. So we can see all of this stuff starting to, take form and take shape. We can see it all right now. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So that's where you get your 666 from. All right. So now, at the time of the shooting of this video, they're supposed to be mobilizing, American troops or whatever to get ready between America and Israel to attack Iran again. Okay. So, we know from the Albert Pike letter, that they were trying to stir up the Zionist state of Israel against, the Islamic, Arabs, right? And bring about this war. And this could bring the nation rising against nation, right? To the point that if this stuff pops off, life as we may know it may never change, right? Because they're issuing in a new world order, right? Order out of chaos. So now these days, when Jesus said, when you see wars and rumors of wars, nation rising against nation, whatever, these are the beginning of sorrows. So you got to prepare now. You got to prepare your mind mentally, and you got to prepare yourself spiritually, right? And emotionally, to the point that you become disciplined. You know what I'm saying? And you have to get into the word of God. This is where now you need to be praying and seeking the face of the Father, you know what I'm saying? And asking him to fill you with his Holy Spirit in the name of Jesus. You see what I'm saying? It's Yahusha, Yahweh to some of y'all. You know what I'm saying? All these little religious stuff people doing, you getting ready to go through it. This is for the trial of the faith of the saints, right? Who is standing with the Father versus who is going to run out here and for a morsel of bread, sell their soul. You see what I'm saying? This is what this is boiling down to. So now is the time for you to get to know the Father for yourself. Now is the time for you to begin to read that Bible and study and ask the Father to give you wisdom, to give you knowledge, to give you understanding, but most important, to give you faith in his word, right? And receive your atonement through Christ, right? This is what this is all about now. You know what I'm saying? It's almost go time. So you better be prepared. All right, with that, thank y'all for watching. The Most High bless you. Until we meet again, shalom.